I drifted away from my body, weightless, suspended above the chaos. The roar of the flood vanished, replaced by a profound hush. I sensed a gentle motion, like floating on a still ocean. Beneath me, the roof of my house gleamed through muddy waters. The broken bridge lay half submerged, steel and concrete twisted. Across the town, I saw more souls, rising like lanterns in the mist. Their luminescence pulsed softly, each pulse a heartbeat of memory. I reached out, but found no arms, just shimmering awareness. The sky beyond was neither blue nor black. It was a pale canvas. Soft gray mist swirled around me, blurring everything into silence. Then a subtle pull drew me forward. Gentle as a mother's hand, I moved toward a distant glow, anticipation thrumming in my being. The closer I came, the purer the light shone. It did not hurt. It did not blind. It welcomed. Beneath the light, I sensed profound peace, deeper than ocean trenches. Memories of Ella's laughter bubbled through me. Pure and untainted, I felt Mark's love, like a cord tethering me to home. Yet the light beckoned, offering something beyond memory and flesh. Outside the glow, the world seemed frozen, time suspended in stillness. I detected no boundaries, no up or down, only movement. Around the central light formed a shape. Faint at first, it grew clearer. The outline of a man in simple robe. The robe shimmered, woven from the same living brilliance. His hair framed his face, dark and gently waving. His features were kind, but indescribable, a perfect harmony. When he turned, the mist parted further. His eyes met mine. I felt every heartbeat of my life. Each joy, each regret, each whispered prayer passed before us. I trembled under the weight of being fully known, but there was no judgment, only an embrace of understanding. A warmth bloomed in my chest, spreading like dawn across a horizon. My sense of self expanded and contracted. Held in divine gaze around us, the light pulsed in silence. A living heartbeat. Then I heard a presence, not sound, but a deep knowing. I recognized that this was my own name, a melody in my soul. I knew who stood before me. Though no question was asked, the mist shifted again, revealing other shapes kneeling in awe. They were souls not yet ready, still caught by fear and doubt, but their eyes shone when light touched them, illuminating bright hope. My fear dissolved completely, replaced by a tranquil certainty. In that place, I felt no past worries, no earthly burdens. My identity was clear, a beloved child of eternal love. I longed to step forward, to fall into the heart of the light. But a gentle barrier held me, a merciful boundary of purpose. I knew my journey was paused, awaiting a mission beyond this realm. The vision expanded, showing me glimpses of lives I had known. There was Ella's first day of school, radiant with expectancy. There was Mark's weary smile, forged through countless Friday nights. Each memory glowed briefly, as if setting the stage for tomorrow. Then the scene shifted entirely. A gateway opened before the light. Through that gateway, I sensed a world beyond description. A place where truth and love were inseparable. Colors unseen by mortal eyes danced in harmony, and the very air thrummed with purpose. Yet the gate called me back to my life. I realized then the balance of grace and mission. That moment of wonder was my new reality. As I floated there, ready to listen, ready to learn, I understood the weight of what I would carry, and the light pulsed once more, inviting me deeper. I watched the gray mist swirl into distant cities. Towns glowed beneath a spiritual haze, as if hidden from heaven's gaze. I felt a question echo in my soul. Have we drifted too far from truth? Was the flood only water or a symbol of the fear choking our hearts? Then his voice rippled through the stillness. I trembled under the weight of his gaze. The vision shifted to a family trapped in their living room. The father's eyes glued to a glowing screen. The mother fed angry headlines, their children locked in digital cages, each soul alone in a single house. Have you ever felt more isolated, surrounded by connection? How long will we feed on poison and starve our spirits? He spoke again, and the haze pulsed with urgency.
My child, I send the waves not to punish but to awaken. The flood will break the levees of pride. The fire will melt the idols of wealth.
Cities burned not to destroy but to strip away all false foundations. I saw golden vaults crumble to dust, designer labels turn to ash. Have you built your life on that or the rock that endures forever? Could you endure the silence of power outages and broken networks? He showed me. Crowds scavenging, then strangers sharing. The same hands that fought now reached out with the bread and blankets. Hope flickered brighter than any street lamp. Prayer rose like incense in empty streets. Have you ever witnessed joy born from ashes? What if the very storms you dread become the fertile ground for faith? His final words rang like a clarion call.
My child, warn them of what comes. Prepare hearts with love, not bunkers. Pray with humility, for each prayer is a golden arrow against darkness.
I hovered there, heart pounding with purpose. The world below trembled with fear and longing, and I knew my mission was clear. When I drew my first breath back on earth, I lay on the damp floor of a rushed shelter. My lungs burned as I coughed muddy water into trembling hands. Around me, medics whispered holy words mixed with stunned disbelief. Memories of his light pulsed in my spirit. I rose unsteady, heart still echoing that divine embrace. The room of strangers felt charged with unseen presence. Their eyes met mine as if recognizing a secret flame.
The light you carried into darkness will ignite hope where despair lingers.
His words settled like seeds in my soul. I stepped out into the flooded streets, wrapped in purpose. Shivering mothers clasped my hands as I spoke of unbroken love. Young fathers wept as I described a kingdom beyond fear. I went door to door with only a whispered greeting. Each threshold held a story of loss and silent longing. I spoke of storms raging inside every heart, of floods that water cannot drown, and fires no wealth can tame. They leaned forward, eyes wide with fragile hope. Aged men nodded as if recalling a long-forgotten prayer. College students paused mid-scroll to catch my trembling voice. Children peeked from behind curtains, drawn by the flame in my words. I carried the fragrance of heaven into their living rooms. I urged them to build on prayer instead of panic rooms. I reminded them that compassion is stronger than concrete walls, that kindness can breach the highest levee of indifference.
Your prayers will be the beacons that draw lost souls home.
I taught that no prayer is too small to shape eternity, that a single whispered plea can shatter the mightiest stronghold, that a cup of cold water offered in love is thunder in heaven. Each word I spoke became a spark in dampened hearts. I gathered crowds beneath mossy oaks and cracked pavement. I spoke by swollen rivers and in chipped white churches. In every corner, I wore my scars like badges of grace. My coughs of water became hymns of resurrection for those hunched over bills and broken dreams. I shared tales of loaves and fishes multiplied by faith for those trapped in digital prisons. I showed them the open sky and invited them to breathe for weary pastors worshiping prosperity. I whispered repentance that cut deeper than any sermon. For politicians waging outrage wars, I offered a higher kingdom where unity crowns the meek. I did not point fingers or settle old scores. I held up mirrors so hearts blinded by smoke could see. I called them from screens to kneel in shared prayer circles. I guided them from isolation into the warmth of community. Every step I took wrote a living psalm on broken streets. Each meal I shared became a chapter in a moving gospel. Every candlelit prayer circle rose above the roar of chaos. I wove social truths into spiritual tapestry. I spoke of crumbling levees ignored by budgets and apathy. I revealed how neglect of neighbors is neglect of God. I challenged them to topple idols of comfort and convenience. Yet through it all, I returned again to love. For love is the compass that guides every awakened soul. For love is the storm no flood can extinguish. I asked them this soul-burning question. Will you build your life on sand or on the rock that endures? Will you choose the fleeting comforts of fear or the unshakable grace? And as I stood once more on trembling ground, I felt his quiet question echo in my chest. Will you embrace the mission he has given? Will you carry his light regardless of cost? With every fiber of my being. My answer rang clear as thunder in a silent sky. Yes, I will go. I will speak. I will live for this call. I will be the voice that echoes his heartbeat to every broken home. I will travel across highways and back roads, sharing redemption stories with weary travelers, stopping in crowded shelters to remind them of unseen angels. Pausing beside rivers where survivors gathered on muddy banks, I would stand in city squares where protesters clashed, holding aloft a simple wooden cross of prayer, inviting hands to feel the weight of mercy and grace, challenging hardened hearts to release grudges and let forgiveness flow. Forgiveness is the bridge spanning chasms of division. I urge the young to lay down smartphones and look up, to see stars unfiltered by pixel and packet, to taste the sweetness of human voices instead of viral noise. Each conversation became a prayer, each shared tear a sign of unity. With every story told, I witnessed my own wounds heal as I became both messenger and living testament, proving that even the deepest drowning can birth new life. All because one soul dared to say yes to the call. I ascended beyond the gateway of light, into a vast hall draped in iridescent mist, where echoes of every prayer ever uttered trembled like living chords. The air pulsed with a low hum, each vibration a testament to faith, woven through millennia. I felt the weight of souls, some radiant with hope, others hollowed by despair, their memories etched into the very walls around me. In the center sat a throne of living crystal, refracting every hue of creation, its glow neither blinding nor dim, but perfectly balanced between glory and judgment. Around the throne stood figures robed in silence, not angels, but witnesses of mercy and truth. Their faces veiled yet familiar, as if each was a reflection of someone I knew on earth. I sensed presidents and paupers alike, rulers whose crowns had rusted, beggars whose faith had polished them pure. Then I saw my own image, a pale silhouette, shifting under scrutiny, and I realized every action, every whispered prayer, every silent tear had been born into this realm. A roll call of childhood moments unfurled. Ella's first stumble into my arms, Mark's weary smile after a long game, unseen hands lifting broken bread to hungry lips, each scene replayed with divine clarity, showing how simple acts of love echo across eternity. But the mirror shifted, revealing altars built of gold and applause, pulpits empty of compassion, hearts beating research papers to find injustice. A chill seared through me, the air thick with the stench of forgotten neighbors and silenced cries. Then a column of shadows rose behind the throne, tendrils of darkness hungry for hope, swirling around empty ambitions, feeding on division and fear. Faces emerged, CEO executives cheering as people went hungry, politicians trading unity for ratings, influencers cultivating vanity as gospel. The sight was horrific. Bone-deep terror of a world, twisting faith into a currency, while the hungry knelt in silence on flooded streets.
My child, behold how idols of wealth and power wrap themselves in holy vellum, yet inside they hollow the temple of my spirit.
His voice resonated through my core, a tremor of tender authority, cutting through the shadows like a blade of light. I felt the warmth of grace, burning away the grime of apathy, revealing hearts carved to receive truth. The mist around me shivered, every echo of injustice unspooled, and I understood that every silent scream on earth had threaded into this tapestry of revelation. Suddenly, the floor dissolved into rivers of living water, currents of purest silver flowing from the crystal throne, washing away the ashes of greed and pride. Each droplet a promise of restoration. I reached out, though no flesh remained, and felt the cool rush of mercy, pulsing like a pulse through the cosmos, reviving every parched hope buried under concrete. Above the currents floated golden arrows, each fired by a single child's prayer, bright spears of intention piercing the thickest gloom, striking demonic fortresses that towered over broken families. I watched one arrow soar from Ella's tiny voice, guided by faith straight to the heart of darkness, where it struck with a thunderous crack, scattering demons like cinders. There in the wake of that strike, new shoots of light burst forth, vines of compassion weaving across broken hearts, binding wounds with threads of grace. I gasped as the darkness roared, a final howl of defiance, then dissipated into motes of dust, leaving only space for healing and hope. A chorus of unseen voices rose, hymns of unity sweet as spring rain, echoing across that silent sanctuary. Yet the vision sharpened, showing me hollowed churches on earth, where pulpits preached prosperity, while children begged for water in collapsing shelters, where digital idols spun webs of distraction, cutting souls off from one another. The disparity was chilling, a mirror of spiritual hemorrhage, and I felt a hot tear slip from where my eye should have been, mourning the cost of neglect.
These visionary sights are not meant to dishearten, but to ignite your soul with urgency. For when you return, you will carry heaven's fire into earth's shadows.
His final words thrummed like wings unfolding, filling me with a fervor that scorched away every remnant of doubt. As the hall faded, the rivers receded, and the throne's glow softened into a guiding ember, I knew my heart had been forever marked by divine revelation. In that moment, I understood the depth of my mission, to broadcast these sacred details with unflinching honesty, to weave the horror of neglect with the beauty of redemption, to pierce hearts with both truth and tender mercy, so that no soul would remain cloaked in despair. And as the mist closed behind me, I felt the full weight of responsibility, a burden golden with promise, and a fire that would burn within me until every whispered prayer found its way home. I gasped as my vision blurred back into the harsh light of reality. My chest heaved, lungs on fire as I coughed muddy water into the hands of strangers. The world rushed in piercing lights, frantic voices, sharp scents of antiseptic and fear. Each breath was a battle, each beat of my heart a triumph over oblivion. I felt every inch of my body, every bruise, every ache, every ragged breath. My spirit still echoed with the symphony of light, yet my flesh was brittle as glass. I raised my head, found Mark's tear-streaked face hovering above mine. His voice cracked through the chaos. "She's back. She's alive." Hope surged like wildfire. I saw Ella's small form clinging to Mark. Her wide eyes searched mine as if reading my soul through pain and wonder. She whispered, "Mommy, you were gone forever." My tears answered for me. I cradled her shaking frame, tasting salt and sorrow. Every heartbeat reminded me of heaven's embrace and earth's ache. I walked out of the makeshift shelter. Each step anchored me to purpose. Floodwaters still lapped at broken streets. Sirens wailed across distant rooftops. Yet, amid the ruin, I sensed an ember of hope glowing in every gaze. I raised my voice, hoarse but unwavering. I told them of the light beyond water. I asked them, "Will you live in fear or rise in faith? Will you let the storm define you or refine you?" Their hesitant nods bloomed into murmurs of agreement, hearts cracking open. I called families to gather. I asked them to share their pain and their prayers, Neighbors who spoke only through walls now clasped hands in sudden unity. Teenagers looked up from screens to meet real eyes, to feel real hearts. They shared flashlights and blankets. They sang whispered hymns into the night. I knelt in a flooded doorway, water swirling at my knees, and prayed aloud. My voice carried across silent houses, an invitation to silence the noise within. I asked them, "What idols will you let wash away? What truths will you hold fast?" Their tears fell into the floodwaters, baptisms of brokenness and hope. I walked beside rescue workers, offering every soul a glimpse of the unseen realm. I pressed my hand to trembling arms. The light still pulses within me. I said, "It calls your name even now. Will you let it guide you home?" They pressed palms against mine, hope sparking like flint on cold stone. I climbed onto a makeshift stage of upturned crates, street lamps forming halos above me. I shared the chorus of voices I had heard, the hymns of unity rising in heaven. I spoke of childhood prayers, turned arrows of light, of dark fortresses shattered. I whispered the promise. No prayer is too small, no heart too lost. Their faces glowed in the lamplight, tears mixing with rain on hopeful cheeks. I asked them, "Have you ever felt the weight of your own unanswered prayers? Have you ever believed the storms could be the very doors to grace?" Their murmurs turned to shouts of affirmation, voices weaving a tapestry of faith. I challenged leaders in the crowd, those who preached comfort over conviction. I invited them to kneel beside the elderly men and the orphaned children. I urged politicians to trade slogans for songs of compassion. I asked social media stars to post prayers instead of pixels. Together we formed prayer circles in muddy courtyards. Strangers became family. Candles reflected in rippling puddles, light dancing across thirsty faces. We prayed for healed bodies, restored homes, renewed spirits, united hearts. Each amen struck a chord in the unseen sanctuary where their echoes are heard. I told them, this mission is for every waking moment, not just stormy nights. Pray in kitchens, in cars on commutes. Let faith guide every choice. Love in boardrooms, classrooms, living rooms. Let mercy topple every divide. Carry the ember of heaven into every corner of your world. When I stepped away, their eyes held the spark. I could never forget. I knew the work had just begun. The flood had parted, but the mission remained. I had returned not for my own sake, but to awaken every soul willing to listen. And in that moment, amid the ruin and the dawning hope, I saw a new beginning unfold. Now I stand before you, trembling with urgency. My voice may crack, yet my message must not falter. I ask you now, will you rise from the wreckage of comfort? Will you let this moment ignite a fire within your soul? This is not just my story. It is the story of every heart drowning in distraction, every life trapped behind screens, every spirit starving for connection. Will you remain silent as the storms of division rage, or will you become a beacon of love, piercing the darkest night? Imagine your own street, your own living room, filled with flooding doubts. Who will you be when the waters rise? Will you clutch fear as a lifeline, or will you reach for the hand of hope? Today I challenge you to choose faith over fear, compassion over convenience. Will you build walls of indifference or bridges of mercy? I call you now to pray with trembling sincerity, to pour out your heart in whispered pleas. Every prayer you speak, every tear you shed, is a spark that will set the world ablaze with grace. Can you feel the weight of those words, hovering in the silence? Will you let your prayers be golden arrows against the darkness? I urge you to gather in homes and streets, in shelters and hospitals. Let no corner of this broken world escape the touch of your compassion. Will you kneel beside strangers, share blankets and bread, letting your hands become lifelines of hope? Start now. Reach out to the lonely, speak words of healing, Offer your time as a gift more precious than any treasure. Can you imagine the moment when one simple act of kindness breaks the dam of despair? I plead with you, turn off the noise that drowns your soul. Silence the endless scroll. Will you open your ears to the whisper of heaven? Begin each day on your knees. Let gratitude flood your spirit. Let repentance wash away the pride that builds levees of isolation. Will you dare to trust that even your smallest prayer can shake the foundations of heaven and earth? I call you to stand shoulder to shoulder, faith warriors forging unity. Let your voices join across cities and nations. Will you lend your voice to the song of redemption? Share this message with those who are lost in the flood. Invite them to taste the living water of God's love. Will you let your testimony be a lamp shining in dark places? Subscribe to this channel. Become part of a community on fire. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a call to action. Will you comment below, sharing your commitment, declaring that you will not be moved by fear? Let your yes echo in the comments. Let your promise be written in light. Will you share this video so that every heart may tremble and then rise in faith? I urge you, do not wait for the storm to force your hand. Choose now, choose life, choose love. Will you stand when the waves crash, or will you be carried away by the tide of apathy? I pray you will choose to stand, to be a lighthouse in a world of chaos. Will you let the flame of heaven burn within you, guiding you through every trial? Tonight, find someone in need, reach out with a kind word, post a prayer request, remind each other that no one stands alone. Will you embrace the mission, even when it costs comfort? I guarantee you this, the storms will come, trials will shake you, but in surrendering to purpose, you will discover strength beyond imagining. Will you risk everything for the cause of love? If you hear this, if your heart pounds with possibility, let your actions speak louder than any fear. Subscribe now, comment below, share without hesitation. Let your voice join the chorus of awakened souls. Will you take up the mantle and carry the light? I believe in you. I believe in the power of your prayers. I believe in the dawn that follows the darkest night. Will you stand with me? I stepped into the shelter doorway and saw Mark's arms outstretched. Ella ran into my embrace, her sobs soft against my cheek. We held each other under the drumming rain, a family made whole again. In that moment, every question found its answer in their eyes. Can you feel the weight of fear lift when love takes hold? Will you let your own reunions with hope begin today? Will you reach across every divide to clasp another hand? This journey does not end here. It ripples into every heart, longing for light. Will you join us in prayer, weaving your voice into a chorus of healing? Can you imagine a community bound not by walls, but by whispered pleas? Subscribe to this channel and become part of our family of faith. Comment your prayer requests and testimonies below so we can stand together. Share this message with friends who need a beacon in the storm. Together we will form a circle of prayer around every lonely home. Together we will fan these sparks of grace into roaring flames of compassion. Will you pray with us daily, not as strangers, but as brothers and sisters? Hit subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss our gatherings of hope. Leave your comment and let your story ignite someone else's faith. Share this video and let our prayer community grow across every flood and fire. Will you answer the call? Will you stand in the gap? Will you lift your voice? Our family awaits you, and heaven listens to every prayer we offer as one.